Hello, friends. Today I have for you a very special guest, and she is Reema Nasser, who's the Executive Director of the ICMCI, or the International Council of Management Consulting Institutes. And Reema, I would like to introduce you to the participants of the All India Management Association uh, Advanced Certificate Program in Business Consulting. And these are all people and very well qualified, some of them, who would like to start their own independent consulting practices. One or two of them already are doing it, have just begun it. One or two of them will plan to do it in a year as soon as this program is over, and some are planning to do it more in the longer run as well, as in when they retire. So, so they're all very keen to know about the organization of the profession of
Mhm.
management consulting and business consulting. So, Reema, would you like to introduce ICMCI to our participants?
Sure will, but before I want to wish everyone good luck. It's a major step that you're taking. You're courageous. This shows entrepreneurship and well, kudos to you. If you need any support during, also please feel free to contact your council, which is the ICMCI. The ICMCI is a not-for-profit entity. It was founded in '87, and actually seven institutes from seven countries were the founding members. Since then, we've grown to 48 institutes. However, those represent 70 plus countries. And we have our global arm, which is the CMC Global Institute that caters and certifies consultants that have no IMC in their country. Now, the good thing about the council, or the main thing that the council does, is promote the profession, promote the professionals, and promote the standards of the profession in the form of the certified management consultant designation. It's a designation that was put together in '93, approved by the General Assembly then. Um, all the processes or the competency framework pertaining to this certification was also then approved, and it started rolling then among all the IMCs that were members and added to the ones that came in later. This certificate is something that ICMCI actually prides in. We are the main entity worldwide that provides certification for management consultants who provide services to clients either as individuals, and we even rolled that out into what we call the ACP scheme if they are companies. So we tried to cover all of the consulting firms and individuals. We made sure the standards compliance is guaranteed. And there's one thing that actually sets the ICMCI apart, and it's the fact that we work according to the cultural differences that we have among all the countries that are members with us. So we provide the standard, they put the process in order to comply, and that way we make sure culture is preserved, yet the standards are met. So this is, in short, what the ICMCI is.
You know, Reema, as you were speaking, I wanted to take the participants back to 1987 when the ICMCI
Hmm.
was formed. At that time in India, we had an organization called the Management Consultants Association of India. And India was one of the founding countries, one of the seven founding countries. But as soon as they became members of ICMCI and ICMCI was formed, we changed our identity to call ourselves the Institute of Management Consultants of India.
Of
And
India.
that still exists to this day. It may or may not be very active or very visible, but unlike in many other countries where the local member institutes are very, very visible. So, having been a part of the witnessing the history and being a part of the history of ICMCI, it was lovely to hear this from your perspective and from your point of view. Now, our participants are very curious about the CMC certification and process across your member countries.
Mhm.
Particularly, you know, you talked about this CMC Global Institute. They would love to know if it's possible for them to get certification through that institute, or do they have to go through the Institute of Management Consultants in India? That's a doubt which they're
Okay.
on. It would be nice for you to clarify that.
Sure will. And as you know, there is a reciprocity between all IMCs. So the first thing I want to start with is that a CMC is recognized anywhere in the world among the different IMCs that are members of ICMCI. So a CMC in India has the same um, uh, knowledge, competence as the CMC in Canada or in Australia or even in Jordan. So reciprocity is full. Now, with regards to the CMC, there are two aspects to it. There's the part that ICMCI does in order to make sure that the IMCs follow the proper competence and framework that we outlined for them. And there's the other part, which is where the IMCs actually certify the individual members according to the criteria. So there are processes on both sides. On the ICMCI side, it is assessments, which are conducted triennially in order to make sure that each member institute complies with the standards of ICMCI in providing the CMC. Now, with regards to the CMC at a national level or at each IMC has the process for certification. This process is based on our competence framework. They comply with it, yet, as I mentioned before, they also maintain their cultural aspect in providing that service. The certification process is about knowledge, but also mainly it's about competence. So a person who would want to become a CMC need to have or need to prove the previous knowledge, the competence that he or she already conducted successful consulting assignments. So it's a proof of competence. Now, the process is about application. It's about providing written summaries of projects that the consultant has already worked on. It includes attestations from the clients that the job that was done according to their expectations. It provided the proper impact that they were seeking, that it was done right. And it also involves questions and let's say discussion with a certain panel that covers the code of conduct, because one of the main aspects that the CMC has is the code of conduct that was established by ICMCI. So that is the process at the institute level. Now, with regards to the part about the Global Institute, Aneeta, well, since we were present in almost 70 countries, from within our 48 members, we wanted to make sure that consultants in what we call orphan countries have the capability of at least gaining the CMC. So we established the CMC Global Institute. It has its own criteria, but the most important fact is that it complies with the reciprocity. It complies with the territoriality agreement, which means each IMC offers the membership and the CMC to its nationals in its own geographic entity. So, for example, consultants from India would need to get their CMC and therefore seek membership with the IMC in India. This applies to any other country where there is an IMC. However, if we go to countries that does not have any IMC, then their path is to seek membership and certification through the CMC Global Institute. I hope this answers what you needed, Anita.
So in India, if a consultant would like to get the CMC certification, he would necessarily have to get it from the Institute of Management Consultants of India.
Correct. If they operate and work in India, then that is the institute for them. If anyone is an expat in another country, for example, if it's an Indian consultant working in the United Arab Emirates that does not have an institute, then that consultant has the option of either becoming a member and gaining the CMC from IMC India, or because they are living abroad and operating from abroad, they have the also the capability of contacting CMC Global Institute and gaining the CMC from there. So it's a full kind of territoriality standard that we follow, and it is available on the website. If you want, I can make it available to you as well. Okay.
That's a great point of clarification for our participants. And,
Correct.
we spoke about professional ethics as being a very important part of the certification of management consultants.
Correct.
And I do know, and I have displayed to the participants here the Code of Professional Conduct of ICMCI. which to me is extremely nicely written, and I have been part of that evolution of that as part of the ethics committee years ago. Um, what is the role of the code of professional practice in influencing consultants to be more professional in their outlook and more ethical in their outlook? How do you influence countries to adopt this code of conduct?
Okay, but before talking about that, I need to mention that actually our competence framework and code are being updated as we speak. So most probably by the end of the year we have a newer version, because we try to maintain evolving all our standards in order to make sure that they grow with the profession, because one of the main aims of ICMCI is growing them in there and have their own code of conduct that we would need to approve. um, Institutes use it, Anita, and any consultant who's a member of an institute, and not just the CMCs, would also need to adhere to the code of conduct. Many of the institutes have their own, let's call them committees, that make sure and keep an eye on the practice by the consultants who are members of this institute, in order to make sure that they are complying and working according to the code of conduct. Now, the latest achievement that we had was when ICMCI worked with ISO and actually chaired the PC 280 committee, which is the technical committee, in producing the first standard for management consulting as a service. That was back in 2017. ICMCI launched, and ISO, of course, published and relaunched the ISO 20700 2017. In that standard, so in the standard, whomever wants to apply it would need to abide by the code of conduct, and specifically code of conduct of ICMCI, which is given as an example,
Wow.
because up till now it is the only worldwide standard that is available for our profession. So in order to make sure that consultants worldwide, other than the ones that are within our network and working within IMCs, we also included that in the ISO 20700 2017, to make sure it has the largest outreach, and it has the most let's say implementers worldwide, because those who would work according to the ISO would need to make sure that they are adhering to the code of conduct. That's our way of making sure that people know of it, consultants use it, clients are aware that it is there, because it also helps them in making sure that the service that they are provided is according to a code of conduct and a special competence framework, which is the CMC. So what I keep saying now is that we have the three main factors. We have the code of conduct, we have the competency in the CMC, and we have the ISO. So it's the all three combined together that provide the special status of what ICMCI is and how that reflects amongst its IMCs, and of course rolls out to its to the consultants.
So all the participants of this program, if at any later stage they would like to apply for the ISO standard, they would also have to sign up to the ICMCI Professional Code of Conduct.
Um, and we did that in a manner, Anita, where it is easy to implement, because the standard is not certifiable against. So what ICMCI did, we went the, let's say, the extra mile, and we produced what is called the self-declaration checklist, and we train institutes on providing the training for that. So any consultant in India who wants to know more about the ISO 20700, they should seek IMC India and attend the training. And included in there is the ICMCI code of conduct.
Excellent, excellent. So the profession is evolving. It's definitely evolving. And
Correct.
my association with ICMCI is almost now 22 years long. When I think I remember, I attended the first ever ICMCI convention that I attended was in San Francisco. And I'd like to go back and figure out what year that was. But since then, I'd spent a good number of years in various committees and various roles as a trustee on board of ICMCI and eventually as the chair as well. And I can see how the profession has evolved over these last 20 years. Not just in terms of evolution of the standards and how they are implemented, but also in terms of the visibility and the outreach and the spread of professionalization, across the planet and across the globe. So it is really wonderful. If I can add one more question here,
Please do.
which is what does the future look like for the role of ICMCI in further evolution of the profession?
Okay. Um, Now, COVID had us kind of stop and then leap. It made us stop because we had to look into our strategies and actually rethink some of what we we thought we would work on during the coming few years, and we actually leapt in diversifying the services. Um, Now, most of what we do is virtual in order to make sure that we reach as many people as possible. What we intend is to meet our vision of being the voice of the profession. And that is what actually moves us. That is what makes sure that we all have the right thing to look at and actually aim for. And for doing that, we've done many let's say actions, and I'm going to speak of a few. Number one, we're putting together a special task force that has started in writing our ICMCI consultancy book. So that's one of the things that we would be publishing hopefully
We still
next
use
year.
Milan Kuber. We still use Milan Kuber over here.
Exactly. We're going to bring out a book that actually is based also on the competency. It wouldn't be about knowledge, it would be about the experience of the consultants that are within the network of ICMCI. And of course, highlighting what the CMCs do and how they do it differently. So the book is one of them. We also started on the National Consulting Index, and that is an index that tells the readiness of a country for continuing to provide the management consulting, and what is the acceptance rate for that profession at that country. That is something we started a few years back. Last year, at the International Consultants Day, actually, we launched the NCI report, and it is available to anyone who wants to access it on our website. So what we try to do is go more into research, go more into findings, talk about the best practices more, and actually evolve with how the world is evolving. Because why I said COVID had a stop and then leap, it's because the role of management consultants worldwide would be shifting. Before, you would notice that many of the big large consulting assignments would actually go to big large consulting firms. And I believe with COVID, people are kind of pulling back. Expenditure might be less, except for those who actually made money during COVID. But it's the time for small enterprises and for entrepreneurials to actually maintain what they started and grow. And those are the ones that would need guidance and support. And for them to be able to gain that guidance and support, they wouldn't be able to go to the big consulting firms. They would need um, consultants that actually speak their language, consultants that can offer them mentorship as well as consulting, actually a buddy consultant. That is what those type of entities would be seeking. SMEs would need friends to be their consultants, and this is what and how this profession is evolving. It's not the time of the big consulting firms, it's the time for those who have the proper competence and can actually provide the support in a one-on-one basis, and even throw in the mentorship and the training and the building capacity and the whole lot. Those are the consultants that would be most needed in the after COVID recovery period. So that's where ICMCI is moving. We're holding webinars, Anita, in order to make sure that our consultants are up to date with the many different either solutions that are being offered or the many trends that people are seeking. We've built very good relationships with EBRD, and each year we're part of their conference in order to make sure that in their countries of operation we have the proper exposure. So that is how we're doing it, and it would continue as such. We just changed focus into providing actually for the smaller, younger type of consulting firms.
So I can see that with initiatives like the National Consulting Index and the evolution of the Code of Professional Conduct, and with spreading out to 70 countries. It used to be 50 during my time. And also with the new book, which will be the next Bible, the New
Uh-huh.
Testament. And Milan Kuber will end up being the Old Testament. Maybe the
That's what we're
new,
hoping for. Yeah.
yes. And in fact, all the participants of this program have all received a copy of Milan Kuber as a part of their program. So
Mhm.
I can see that the profession is headed in the right direction, and under your able guidance and coordination, there's lots more to be done. And I look forward in my lifetime to seeing a lot of these initiatives in actual practice, particularly in India, where I am operating.
Well, you were one of those who held the torch. We're just carrying it forward after taking it from you. So um,
Thank you.
you were a great mentor, Anita. You know that, and I hope that we continue in the footsteps that you feel the ICMCI should head to.
Thank you with that very nice compliment. Thank you so much, Rima, and I'm sure
Thank
the
you.
participants will gain a lot of value from this little interview we've done. In my presentation to them, I will also include some YouTube link to the channel, the ICMCI channel, as well as
Mhm,
the website,
mhm.
so that they can, and perhaps they can sign up to receive your webinar notices, so that they can also attend some of those webinars.
Perfect, and they can register to our newsletter as well.
They can register for the newsletter as well.
Correct.
Thank you so much, and look forward to seeing you some other time. Okay.
Let's hope soon.